traditionally, what's not a value stock is a growth stock. And indeed, if you look at, for example, the Russell 1000 value and the Russell 1000 growth, and you put a portfolio of those two together, then you get the Russell 1000. And that means that if the stock is not in the value portfolio, it's in the growth portfolio, which means, and this is kind of, in a way, shocking, that people will be holding expensive, and expensive I mean like high PE ratio, low growth stocks. And that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So there's a good reason potentially to hold in like an expensive high growth stock. It's expensive because growth is high. But to hold an expensive low growth stock, that's baffling. Our paper kind of sketches a new approach where expensive low growth is excluded from any portfolio.
What's extraordinary, one more question on this, because Paul's looking at me going, we got to talk to Kim about SpaceX. But, I look, Professor Harvey, at this, and it seems to be a complete shift towards the joke of Stephen Colbert, growthiness. Is value dead?
No, not at all. So what's dead is investing in expensive low growth stocks, in my opinion. Those stocks are losers historically, and they should not be in your portfolio. So growth should be measured by growth metrics, sales growth, profitability growth, R&D growth, not the stock is expensive. That's not good enough. We need to look at fundamentals, and that's why our paper is called Fundamental Growth.
This is great. Paul, did he just describe SpaceX?
Exactly. So, Cam, we do have a pretty notable IPO that's going to begin trading today. SpaceX IPO valuation, I think the analysts are telling me, is 95 times revenue. Talk to us about what this kind of deal means to you. And one of the key issues is, where does it go in the various stock indices out there?
Yeah, so this is a stock that is high growth, and it will be expensive. And you mentioned one metric. It's expensive, and that often means that the expected return going forward is going to be modest. And indeed, if you look historically at IPOs of large firms, and you look at the performance over the next 3 years, it is essentially flat compared to the market. So the IPO, by the time it gets to IPO, these stocks are often fully priced. And all of the action, the explosive growth, happened before the IPO, when those so-called accredited investors and insiders were transacting in this stock. So what I'm saying is the big upside has already happened.
Yep.
So those that bought the stock for $10 or $100, they got the explosive growth, and the retail or the average investor is left with the residual, the dregs. They could not buy the stock earlier on because they are not accredited or qualified.
Yep. Bloomberg had some reporting yesterday, Cam, that the demand from retail investors in the pre-market trading exceeded $100 billion for a $75 billion offering here. It sounds like retail, nonetheless, is going to participate in a big way.
So again, there's a good reason for that demand. This will be likely the number 7 largest stock in the U.S. by total market capitalization. It is reasonable for retail investors to diversify their portfolio. So they want some of this stock. I understand that. So the problem is that they're getting in at a very high price. So SpaceX, I'm looking at the derivatives market, is at 177 already. Yep. So, and you're not getting in necessarily at the allocation price of 135. You're getting in at the close.
I just want to point this out. He has a derivative pricing at Duke. They don't have that at Chapel Hill. They don't have the pricing right now.
They'll eventually
at Chapel Hill.
Hey, Cam, another part of this deal, which is really interesting, I think, is just if you're buying stock today in this company, you've bought off on a vision of Elon Musk, of maybe even the cult of Elon Musk. How does that typically play out over time?
So it's difficult to draw historical comparisons because this is such a big IPO. Many don't realize that this company is not a new company. It's been around, for 24 years. So it's got a long track record. People know the company. It's in the news, and it is large. So this IPO is larger than the sum of all the IPOs in 2025. So it's really hard, given that it's so extraordinary in terms of the size, to draw historical comparisons. Many IPOs are small. This is giant. And also there is the possibility that SpaceX will be merged with Tesla to become like a colossal company. So again, to draw historical comparisons is difficult. Vision is important, and you are correct that a lot of people are buying the vision. They're buying this vision of extreme growth potential.